Okay, so picture this. It's 3 AM and you can't sleep because you need to know which CPUs are better for your next PC build, AMD's or Intel, right? Well, let's find out together. But not before I thank you for subscribing to the channel. We're almost at 20 subscribers, so I really appreciate it. How's it going everyone? This is part 1 of video series PC Building 101. And today we'll be focusing on AMD's AM4 motherboard platform, and in the next video we'll be covering Intel's LGA 1151 and the new LGA 1200 socket. When you start planning your PC build, the first big question that you encounter is, which platform am I gonna be using, AMD's or Intel's? And the first things you should consider before looking into actual motherboards are 1. Which CPUs are compatible with that socket at the time of building my PC, and which CPUs will be compatible in a few years for future upgrades, because you will probably want to upgrade your CPU during the lifetime of your motherboard. Once you know that, you will have to choose between different motherboard chipsets for that socket. And this may sound overwhelming, but it's actually quite simple. For the AMD AM4 platform, in this case you have all these chipsets. And even though all of them use the AM4 socket, their CPU compatibility is very different. For instance, I would consider the A320, B550 and X570 chipset straight up obsolete for a new PC build, since they all don't offer support for Zen 3 and limited Zen 2 support, which means that your upgrade path would be very limited. So we're left with the A520, B450, B550, X470 and X570 chipsets. But these names don't really tell you a whole lot by themselves, and that's totally normal. So the AM4 socket divides in 3 motherboard tiers: the A series intended for basic PCs with no overclocking support, the B series most suitable for all-round mainstream PCs with overclocking support, and finally the X series, the enthusiast level chipset that usually offers some special features and best overclocking capabilities. Alright, so with that out of the way, we can finally give some AM4 recommendations. For a budget PC build, I would go with a B450 motherboard. And you may be asking, why not go with a A520? Well, for once, it doesn't offer any real improvement over the B450. Plus, pricing wise, you can get a decent B450 motherboard like the ASRock B450 and Pro 4 for around $80 brand new, and even cheaper if you look in the used market. While a not so decent A520 motherboard will cost you pretty much the same and won't support overclock. And not to forget that the CPU upgrade path looks quite more compelling for me for the B450, since you can get a used 1st or 2nd gen Ryzen and upgrade to a 3rd gen in a few years, when prices get lower, and you may even get 4th gen Ryzen support. Now for the mid-range PC build, where most of the users will go, and this is a no-brainer, go with B550 motherboards. It offers some good improvements over their predecessors like PCIe 4.0, you can throw in a Ryzen 3000 CPU now and in a few years upgrade to a Ryzen 4000 or 5000 and make your life easy. Looking at the prices, you have a wide variety of motherboards, with the sweet spot being around $140. You can go lower, but you will sacrifice some features. If you want to know more about the B550 motherboards, I strongly recommend you watch Gamers Nexus videos about the B550 chipset and the best B550 motherboards. And finally, for your high-end system, where there are some great X570 choices, like the tough gaming X570 Plus Wi-Fi, which is on sale for just $160 on Newegg. I'll leave a link if you want to check it out. That's actually the motherboard I'm using right now, and it will be my editor's choice or something like that. And of course, you can go as high as you want with X570, depending if you're going with a Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 9, and of course if you're planning to overclock them. And you can also get features like 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi 6, massive VRMs, etc. Which are features that you just can't find until you go over $200. So those would be my recommendations for the AM4 platform. I hope I explained myself well enough, and if you have any questions or other thoughts, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll reply as soon as possible. Check the video descriptions for some good B450, B550 and X570 motherboard recommendations, and stay tuned for the second part where we'll talk about Intel sockets. And with that said, I'll see you for the next build. Take care guys.